Optix Mail. My name's Ollie Harrison, and what I want to talk about a little today is integrating email marketing with social media to really kind of maximize the results you get from marketing across those two channels. What we're really talking about is increasing audience engagement. So it's making sure that you're sending the right messages to the right people on the right channels. So that's what I'd really like to focus on. And the reason for this, I think, is that I think the Gmail software engineer captures it pretty well. Is we're all very busy. We all receive far too much information, and that might be information we receive on across social media channels or in our inbox. And it's not necessarily that it's all junk. It's that fundamentally we haven't got time to address things that aren't important or of value to us. So when we're talking about providing people with information across email or again with social media, it needs to be something that we're interested in receiving, and it needs to be of some value to us. I speak to an awful lot of people who sort of say, social media marketing doesn't work, and email marketing doesn't work, and I hope that across the course of this brief presentation we can really drill down into opening up some techniques that may help with that. So first of all, I thought we'd start with a definition, and that's really what we mean by marketing. And fundamentally, marketing is all about ensuring that we satisfy the requirements of your customers profitably. Yeah. There's a little point if we're a business or a for-profit organisation of investing time and financial resource into these activities if they're just not delivering a financial return over the short, medium, or long term, depending on what your plan is. So I think it's fair to say it's all about the money. And again, it may be that money isn't the return that you want from your investment. Maybe if you're a charity or a not-for-profit organisation, you want some awareness. But it's about understanding what your goals are and making sure that your investment is really, really delivering against those goals. What I thought would be worthwhile doing as well is just introducing some of these social media channels that have really risen in popularity over the last 5 years or so. So I think most people are going to be aware of Twitter. So 140 characters to say what you're up to. Facebook is as you can see there, about liking. So Facebook's more of a family and friends platform, so it can be a challenge for organisations to market on Facebook. Foursquare, so location-based service, so checking in. Instagram, as you can see from the diagram there, very much about photographs acquired by Facebook. Quite an interesting purchase. So I think Facebook purchased Instagram a few months ago, nearly a year ago now. Instagram hadn't yet generated any revenue, and Facebook acquired it for $1 billion. So this gives you some idea of their hopes for Instagram. YouTube videos, as we're likely to all be aware. LinkedIn, I guess networking for professionals. Pinterest, a relatively newcomer to the block. So it's about sharing pins on your pin board. So sharing pictures or videos of things that you find interesting. Last FM, so a radio platform. And obviously, again, Google Plus. A little bit harsh there. I think this particular synopsis of Google Plus. It's likely to rise in popularity, certainly as Google increasingly integrate it into their search offering. Anyway, a quick overview of the social media platforms that are currently very popular. And so I guess what we need to define here is what our goal from all this is. And for me, it's to ensure that we become increasingly relevant, timely, that we're targeted, and that ultimately we become valuable to the people that we're speaking to. As we all know, we haven't got much time, and we're pretty harsh when it comes to determining what is worth our time and what isn't. So if we're not achieving value for our target audience here, we're probably going to fail in our objectives. So your question I get asked a lot when it comes to both social media and email marketing is why should I care? Yeah, and the fact is that people still love receiving email. So the 2012 marketing census reports that actually still 75% of people have a preference for email over any other platform as a primary means of communication. Now the caveat there is that it's as a means of communication from organisations that they want to hear from. So I think it should be just taken as read that nobody enjoys receiving junk or irrelevant messages across any platform. And this is the challenge for us, despite the fact that it still remains the most popular means of communication or channel of communication. Our inboxes are getting more and more crowded, and more than that, increasingly service providers are, are finding more sophisticated ways of filtering out what they think their users want. So this is a snapshot from Google's priority inbox, and if you know about this, then great. And if you don't, I'd really recommend maybe just googling priority inbox to get a little bit more information than I can give you here. But essentially, as the name suggests, priority inbox prioritizes email, and whereas historically email's always been prioritized chronologically, so it's just been the most recent email gets given top of the pile, if you like, as long as it's not been earmarked as spam. Google's taking a slightly more sophisticated approach now, and it's looking at metrics and algorithms to determine which mail is important to us, which mail isn't, and you'll probably expect this to become more increasingly complex over time. But if you have a Gmail account, you've probably already noticed things like yellow emails, where Google thinks that a particular mail is junk, or mail from a particular sender is junk, and you've probably also noticed things just getting filtered out more. So it's as an email marketer, it's something to really consider, because you need to ensure that the mails you send out are relevant to your audience, so that essentially Google prioritizes your message over anybody else's. And just with the increase in email traffic, the same is true of social media. There's a little graph here which shows social networking use over time by age group. So aside from the fact you've got a slight dip there amongst the 18 to 29-year-olds over the last or over the period of 2010 to 2011, you can see that there's just a boom. There's just been a boom over the last 6 or 7 years, and it's one that's likely to increase. And for me, and it very much depends on your own marketplace, the important increase here to note is between the 30 to 49-year-olds up to the 65-year-old demographic, because they're the audience, and they typically the demographic that have got money to spend. And so you're going to need to do your own analysis at where your own audience and your own customer base lies. But it's likely that if you're in retail or consumer goods or services or B2C services, that social media is likely to become increasingly important for you as the months and years roll by. And the other thing, we addressed this at the start of the presentation, is that email marketing, it still provides, done well, it still provides an unrivaled return on investment. So again, a graph taken from the marketing census 2012, and you can see here that organisations still reporting that email marketing was providing the best ROI of any marketing activity, and that was from May 2012. And online marketing generally is still pulling in those results. So not only do audiences like email, organisations like it because it still gives great returns. But the key is it has to be done well. And I think we should look maybe at a quick example of how not to do it. So in January, New Scientist reported that 35 million pharmaceutical emails were sent out to Americans, of which 10,000 were opened, and you might want to take a guess at how many of those resulted in sales. I won't keep you in suspense any longer. It's 26. So that's a that's a conversion rate of 0.000008%. And I think it's, it should become quite clear that actually we need a little more focus than spam email can provide us. And if we reflect actually on what the goal is here, becoming relevant, well, spam just frankly isn't relevant, so it's not going to work. It's certainly not timely. We've got no idea. Spammers have got no idea of who wants to receive what and when. It's not targeted. Clearly 35 million emails for 26 sales is just unacceptable by any organisation's standards. And it's not valuable. So in terms of thinking about how we can become increasingly targeted and increasingly valuable, it's really worth putting a little thought into integrating social and email marketing channels. And I think my first tip here is really to put some share buttons on your email. So it's really easy to do. If you're using an email marketing service, you probably find that it's automated and that you can just request, you can tick a box to put a like or a tweet this button on your email. And also, why not try split testing them for effectiveness? So don't just by default put them in your footer or on the left or the right hand side of your email. Try a few different locations and see what results you'd get. I mean, our recommendation would be that you'd ordinarily get best results if they're in the top right hand side of your email. But beware putting them in headers. It can sometimes play havoc with display. And then monitor. A massive part of email marketing is monitoring who's sharing what, so that you can increasingly engage with those people who are a fan of your brand to build up some brand ambassadors ultimately. So add social profile buttons. So email doesn't work for everyone, just like social doesn't work for everyone. So we've got a number of clients that frankly just don't use social. Like they love receiving email, they like phone calls, but you'll never engage with them on social channels. So provide a range of communication options for your audience, and make sure that you communicate in the way that they want to be communicated with. And also use autoresponders. It's amazing the number of times that I'll sign up to a newsletter or a blog, or I'll make a purchase online and I don't get a quick email. And it's remarkable. If I've just signed up to your blog, a couple of things are present. I'm online, so I'm at a laptop or on my iPad, so I've got access to internet, and as such I've got access to email, and I'm engaging with your brand. I'm on your website and I've just signed up to your blog. So why not drop me a quick welcome email? It does a couple of things. It helps to build that relationship at the initial stages of us working together or us engaging, and it also reassures me that you've got my sign up and that things are happening on your website. So the equation is pretty simple. A new subscriber is both online and engaged. And we spoke about this a bit a second ago, but why not reward your ambassadors? If you see that people are tweeting your stuff or liking on Facebook, or that regularly opening your emails or heeding your calls to action, just maybe embrace those guys a little bit. It doesn't have to be much. Maybe a thank you on Twitter, or a little special offer, whatever works for you. But just trial a few things. So we had a look at spam, and I want to have a look at an example that's one of my favourite examples of this kind of social and email integration, and that's by a company called Mint.com. And I have to admit, this was a campaign rolled out a couple of years ago by these guys, but I think it's a great example and still worth exploring. So Mint are providers of personal finance solutions, and they had a goal, and this incidentally was led by a chap called Noah Kagan, who if you want to learn about how to launch a marketing campaign, look Noah up online. He's really quite an impressive guy. But anyway, Mint decided to launch a social email campaign, and they were asking current members to refer friends to the service. And Mint is a free service, but they really wanted their current audience and customers to become influencers. And the results were frankly amazing. So over 10% of those emailed became influencers. And on average, each influencer sent 5 emails. So a couple of things present here. Mint have obviously built a very, very loyal fan base. To get over 10% of those that you email to heed your call of action, and actually in heeding it to do it 5 times is impressive. And then of those people that they referred it, essentially referred Mint to, over 61% click through. And what that shows is really the power of a referral from somebody that you already know. If a friend gets in touch with you and says you might want to check this out, you're just far more likely to bother than if it's a faceless organisation. But at the same time, if it's an organisation that you've had built a relationship with, and that you value, and whose products you enjoy using, and who you trust, then though it's probably not as powerful as a referral from a friend, it's certainly far more powerful than receiving a request from an organisation you just haven't worked with. So it really demonstrates the importance of building relationships there. And incredibly, for every 2.6 invitation clicks, Mint got a new user. I mean that is you compare and contrast that with the spam example earlier. That's remarkable. My maths isn't great, but I think actually I totted this up, and they got like an 11.6% sign up rate, which is unbelievable. So I thought it'd be worthwhile, as we come to the end of this presentation, just to have a quick look at this email. And as you can see, actually, it's a pretty standard looking email. I mean, there's nothing here that kind of makes you think, wow, what did these guys do? But they did a couple of things really well. Yeah, as I've said, let's have a look at what makes it great. So they had a lot of focus, and they also did their planning. So the first thing they did was they split tested it. So if you don't know too much about split testing, the idea is that you have a database maybe of 1,000 or 100,000 contacts. It really doesn't matter, and you take 10% of those contacts, and you take that 10% and you divide it in 2. So you've got two lots of 5% of your overall database, and you send out 2 different versions of largely the same message. And it might be that the offer was slightly different. So in Mint's case, what they did was they actually sent out 3 versions, and they were 3 different incentives. So it was there was from memory, it was please share this with your friends, just because you love Mint and you want to share it with your friends. So there was no incentive. And then there was please share this with your friends for the opportunity to win an iPod. So kind of a gift. A product-based incentive. And then the third option was please share this with your friends, and we'll give you access to some exclusive content, hence the Backstage Pass. And by far the most popular option was the Backstage Pass. So they know, having tried it across 10% of their subscriber database, that the most successful route forward is likely to be to send out the Backstage Pass option. So sure enough, that was the version that went out to the remaining 90%. So to an extent, they'd already got some data on the best message to send out to the majority of their audience. And they had one simple call to action. All they asked their current customers to do was to share it with their friends. It was one simple message. And they made it easy because they integrated it with social media. So you could share that message across Twitter, Facebook, or by forwarding the email on. And that's really the key. We spoke at the start about the fact that we're all time poor and that our attention spans are very short. If you make your emails short, snappy, and the call to actions very clear and very easy to heed, you're far more likely to get results. And then the other key thing for Mint was that the results were measurable. So they knew what they were doing before they sent the campaign. They sent the campaign. They were able to measure the results of the campaign, and for future campaigns, they had this data that was informing them of the best way to proceed. So a great example of how to approach email marketing. And that's kind of it. It was just an overview of to try and give you some ideas of the best way to approach some email marketing and integrating that with social media. If you've got any questions, please do get in touch, and thanks very much for listening. Okay, bye now.